Hey everyone, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to Relevant Jukebox. So I hope you guys are doing well. I got another batch of 10 records for you here going through my collection. And if you're new to the channel, it's the first time you've seen one of these videos, I have been going through my vinyl collection 10 records at a time randomly. And if you're interested in vinyl music content, music reviews, it'd be really awesome if you could consider subscribing. So let's just hop right into these records. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Starting off with a good one here, Earl Sweatshirt, Some Rap Songs. This being my favorite Earl Sweatshirt record by a long shot, I think at this point, actually. After this album dropped, it kind of like made all of his older material just kind of seem really amateurish to me. Like, I still like a lot of it, but this one here is just so much more of a crazy vision from Earl. It's a black record here. This is just standard pressing. But I can't get enough of his like really darkly tortured vignettes that are like twisted into hip-hop tracks, and you know, everything he's been doing since then has been really awesome. And, you know, of course, some really deranged artwork from Earl. Some lyrics on the inner sheet for you there as well. Next up, I got my favorite Grimes record, Visions. Wasn't a huge fan of her newest Miss Ampophrecine. I still think all of her best material lands on Visions. I do like Art Angels as well. Now, this is just a black vinyl. This isn't one of those limited purple ones, which I wish I had. That'd be really cool. Those are really expensive now, I think. Really hard to track down. Even this, I don't see all the time out in record stores. And yeah, I'm just like still in shock at the name of her baby, and just I think it's pronounced Ash. You know, this is a very Grimes thing to do, obviously. Here's the inner sleeve, which is cool. It's got this like really creepy artwork on it, double-sided. Next up, I have a 12-inch single from one of my favorite bands ever, Pavement. This is Range Life. And the reason why I own this 12-inch here is because it has two amazing B-side tracks, Raft and Coolin' by Sound, which didn't come in the original version of Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. And you have to have that really super deluxe version. So I picked up this 12-inch because I absolutely love those tracks. There's the vinyl there, just black vinyl, nothing too crazy about it. And sticking on the Stephen Malkmus train here, I do have my favorite record from Stephen Malkmus and the Jicks, Mirror Traffic. Or at least one of my favorites. I don't know. I go back and forth, but I really like this one. There's some great tracks on it. And, you know, maybe not as special as what landed in Pavement records, but, you know, if you're a Pavement fan, I don't see how you can't really get into the Stephen Malkmus and the Jicks stuff. It's a little more dad rocky, obviously, but still awesome. It's just a standard black pressing. And if you had not heard any of the Jicks material, this might be a good entry point for you, actually. Next up here, I have the self-titled debut from LCD Soundsystem. Really good album, really solid batch of tracks. Not my favorite LCD. Here's the gatefold, which is kind of cool. Give you a little image there. But Disco Infiltrator, don't underestimate that track. I think that one's pretty awesome. It still is like slaps nowadays. This is a really thick pressing too. I want to say this is like 180 gram. It's some kind of reissue. Really like the labeling though. Really, really nice. Just like, you know, classic coming off of DFA, James Murphy's label. And I love how, you know, it's the disco ball in there. Really awesome. Next up here, I have Kero Kero Bonito's Bonito Generation. Now, this is a super fun bubblegum-based pop record. I love Kero Kero Bonito. This was the record that really did win me over. And if you hadn't really checked out Kero Kero Bonito before, I'd suggest starting here. Look at this awesome poster. It came with just ridiculous shot of the band there. That matches the cover art, like, really well. And this was a reissue. This isn't one of the original presses. I missed that train when these first dropped. But thankfully, the great people over at Polyvinyl Records reissued this. This is the early bird edition that was on out of 750. So it's on like a sky blue marble. It looks really awesome. Love the art direction on this release. It's so fun. I mean, it's just a ton of bright colors, and like the graduation theme is like really cool. Moving right along, next up is Boards of Canada's The Campfire Headphase. Now here's a pretty mind-expanding band, an album, you know, if you hadn't heard it before in the electronic genre. This was my gateway drug into Boards of Canada. This is how I found out who they were back when I was in college and doing, you know, mind-altering things like this record would do to you. Pretty interesting inner sleeve artwork too, all these like really old images that look pretty obscured. This was a record that was pretty hard to find. It was out of print for a long time, and this was just like a reissue that Warp Records did that I was patiently waiting for. It's just a black vinyl, but this was a you know, affordable price when I picked it up. It wasn't anything crazy. You know, those of you that listen to Boards of Canada know this, you know, people debate what the best one is. I would suggest, you know, even if you hadn't heard them before, maybe starting with the Campfire Headphase, because it's not like as dark and tortured as like Gio Gotti. Even the, you know, Music Has the Right to Children, I guess you could argue as well, but this one here just has a lot of gentle, pleasant sounds woven into it. Next up here, a classic hip-hop album from the 90s and just in hip-hop in general, Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest. I do think this is the best Tribe Called Quest record. This is my favorite Tribe Called Quest record, I guess is how I should put it. A lot of people say Midnight Marauders, but I think this is the best one. I mean, consistency front to back to just like really dark undertone that they took on this record and just how cohesive it is. It's unbelievable. I mean, Tribe Called Quest is my favorite hip-hop group ever. This is a black standard vinyl. I mean, you could pick this up for a pretty affordable price. This is something that every hip-hop fan, I think, should have in their collection. But yeah, absolutely adore this record. Next up, one of my favorite albums from 2018, and maybe one of my favorite indie rock records ever, Spirit of the Beehive, Hypnic Jerks. Now here's a band that I feel like is slightly underappreciated overall. I know they don't have like a huge following, but oh my goodness. I mean, this band is just so good at what they do, which is writing some like really mind-bending and strange indie rock tracks. Overall, it's very like melty and just like strange. Like they have this kind of like vibe to them, like you're wasting away on your floor with somebody that you're in love with, and it's like a sunny like Sunday morning or something. That's what this record feels like sometimes to me. This is the inner sleeve, and this is a first pressing that came out through Tiny Engines. It's a cool looking pressing, half purple, half pink split. So really, really nice here. Highly suggest seeking out this record if you're a fan of rock music. I mean, it's actually made me not enjoy a lot of other bands out there just because a lot of the ideas are just so like cleanly presented on here. And rounding out this next batch of records here, I have my favorite Sufjan Stevens record, Illinois. This was my introduction to Sufjan Stevens back in the day when I was just in high school. And, you know, what can be said about Sufjan Stevens that hasn't already been said as him as a songwriter, recording engineer. I mean, he's an absolute master. I'm a pretty big Sufjan stan. Here's the trifold gatefold. Really cool. Crazy artwork going on there. Really awesome. This isn't one of those really cool presses that has like Superman on the cover. I know there's a really sought after one where the stickers are, the balloons are the stickers and Superman's underneath. I wish I had one of those. Those are just kind of out of my price range at this point, and this is just a record that, you know, I play all the time. I love this album. Just a black vinyl here. But some of my favorite Sufjan tracks ever land on this album. Also, I was fortunate enough to catch Sufjan Stevens live in Boston at the Wang Theater. That was for the Carrie and Lowell tour, which is another record I really enjoyed, but you know, the whole presentation and the way everything came together was amazing, and I really wish I could have seen him perform stuff off of this live. That would have been awesome. So that's going to do it for the next installment in my vinyl update series. Keep a lookout soon. I will have an update video coming out hopefully this week regarding Record Store Day and what's going on with that. So I'll have some information for you guys surrounding Record Store Day. And yeah, you know, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and share it. If you want more content from me, hit that subscribe button. Peace.